Rising e-commerce sales, burnt out employees, unrealistic expectations from management. Is this the end of retail as we know it? Find out all that and more on today's episode of Coffee with Tori. Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Tori. If you're new here, press the subscribe button and drop a comment introducing yourself. I'd love to say hi to all of my new friends. Hey, I've got a question for you. Have you ever noticed that our favorite 90s and early 2000s clothing stores are closing left and right? I mean, seriously, think about it. Kohl's, their sales were down. I remember when I was younger going to Kohl's with my mom, picking out new clothes for whatever the reason is. Maybe because I needed new clothes, maybe because I just wanted new clothes, maybe she needed clothes, whatever. But I've noticed there aren't that many Kohl's around. Same thing with JCPenney. And is it just me or did Sears just disappear off the face of the planet? It's got me to thinking, why is that? Why is it that all of our favorite big name clothing stores are all of a sudden disappearing and making way for newer, more niche markets? I definitely remember being younger and thinking, wow, I could go into a JCPenney and get so many different items at one time, whether it was bedding or clothes or whatever. And even when I was going to college, going to Target and JCPenney and Macy's and all these other places to get everything I needed to start school was all in one spot. But it got me to thinking, what are the main reasons that these big name retail stores or these big box stores, if you will, are disappearing? And as I did my research, it boiled down to three main things. Number one, the rise of e-commerce sales. Two, there is a ridiculous amount of burnt out employees. I mean, I can't even walk into any store. It doesn't matter if it's a big name store like Nordstrom or Dillard's or something like that and not see burnt out employees, and unrealistic expectations from management. Now, here's a little secret that you may or may not know. I definitely used to work in retail before I started doing this full time, which I absolutely love doing this now. But I definitely worked in retail. And let me tell you, the unrealistic expectations from management, it's not a myth, it's real life. So let's talk about each one of these in detail, shall we? All right, so let's talk about the rising of e-commerce sales. So I don't know about you, but the idea of walking into a store, buying something, interacting with different customer service people, it sounds just so exhausting. I mean, seriously, think about this. Let's say it is just a normal Monday afternoon. You have the day off of work, or maybe you're on vacation or something, right? And you're like, let me go into the store and pick out something really cute. I just got paid. I want to get a new outfit, whatever. You might think to yourself, you know what, it's a Monday. There shouldn't be that many people at the mall, or there shouldn't be that many people in the stores. Let me just waltz in, grab a cute item and go home, right? You go into the store. There is nothing. Nothing is there. I don't know if they just got cleaned out over the weekend, if they just haven't gotten shipment yet, if the employees are just backed up from the weekend and just haven't been able to replenish or put the go backs back. Who knows what the reasons are, but you go in on a Monday and there's all of a sudden not a single thing in there that you want. Or if there is something you want, guess what? It's not in your size. What is the very first thing you guys realize, or you hear the sales associate or manager tell you when you say, hey, I want this item, but I don't see it? They tell you, oh, we can just order it for you. Okay, here's the thing. If I wanted to order it, right, I would just order it from the comfort of my bed, at home, in my living room, or wherever I am that I am online shopping. So the rise of e-commerce sales really truly is hurting what is known as our brick and mortar retail business. I mean, think about it. If every time I go into a store, the only reason or the only way I am able to get the item that I find interesting or the item that I want is I have to order it online because they don't have it in store. Hello, what is the point of me even going in store? I have got out of the comfort of my home. I had to get dressed and look all cute and adorable to go out in public. I go to the stores. I have to deal with rude, annoying customer service people who don't have a clue where anything is. And all they're telling me is, I can order this in store for you, when I could have stayed at home drinking my delicious cup of coffee in my pajamas and I could have ordered it myself. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Do you feel this way when you go shopping? Do you feel like it's just easier to just order online if you're going to have to order it online anyway if you go into the store? I don't know. That's just my own personal experience. All right. Speaking of employees, let's talk about these customer service people. Now, I get it. I was in retail for years. Trust me when I tell you the burnout is real life. I don't think a lot of people understand just how much pressure being in retail is. Now, I will say, I'll give it to my hospitality and my restaurant friends. Like, you guys get it. Coming into work, working ridiculous hours, dealing with people who do not respect what you do at all, dealing with managers who do not care about you or what you want to do with your life. Like, y'all understand what I'm saying. But for the rest of you who have not worked in food, hospitality, in the restaurant industry, or in retail for that matter, let me break down to you kind of what the everyday looks like. Every day of work looks like in the retail space. So you have a schedule that you get. It could be a month out, depending on the clothing company you work for, the brand you work for. They might send you your schedule a month in advance. I will say, if you work for a place that sends you your schedule a month out, that is a blessing because most of them don't do that. A lot of them will wait maybe the week before. If they're really good, it's 2 weeks before. But to be completely honest with you, with how toxic the retail environment is, it's usually the day before. So let's say you're supposed to work on Monday and schedules get posted on Sunday. You would think, oh yeah, the schedule's going to get posted Sunday, 2 weeks in advance. Wrong. It will be Sunday, the day before the Monday you're supposed to start working. You'll have to text your manager, hey, am I working tomorrow? All the different things. Like I said, my friends in hospitality and in the food industry, you guys know this very well. I've got some friends who work in both hospitality and in various fast food restaurants, and they ran into the same situation that they would get their schedule, they would look at their phone, they're looking at Workday, and don't get me started on Workday. They would look at all these different things, trying to figure out when they're supposed to work. Nothing. And then they find out, 12 hours before the next day that, oh, here's your schedule. How do you plan your life when you don't know when you're working? Now, those of you who work in an office job or who are salaried, thankfully, you guys already know what your work day is. It's usually a 9 to 5 or 8 to 6 or 10 to whatever. But when it comes to retail, that's just not reality. You really, truly are at the mercy of the business because it depends on what's going on. Like, for example, let's talk about peak times. Back to school. So August through September, you got holiday. That's November, December, and January. You've got semi-annual, depending on what the company is. Their semi-annual is usually between January and like March. And then you have the ones right before the holidays, which is usually going to be around September. You also have random peak things that are going on within their store. Now, I worked for one store, and let me tell you, with that store, oh man, the only time you could really request off, or the only time you were able to really plan a time to like take some time off, was in October. Let me explain. So we had the calendar that was the business calendar for the whole company, for the whole store. It didn't matter what position you were. These were the times they were considered blackout dates, right? So these are the times that you cannot take off. Like there's no reason for you to take off. The only way you could probably get those times off is if somebody died. And even then, maybe kind of thing. Like it would have to be either yourself or somebody super duper duper close to you. I'm talking a parent or a child level of close to you. And even then, they would try to find a way to make sure you didn't get that time off. Okay, so you had your blackout dates. The blackout dates consisted of the semi-annual sales, which happened in January, and in August-ish, you had back to school that was completely blacked out. So all of August and September were out. You also had summer. The summer was out. So June, July, and of course, August were out. Then you had holiday that was out. You couldn't request off. So that's November, December, and a good chunk of January. You might think to yourself, oh, well, it sounds like you have February, March, and April and May to request off, right? Wrong. You see, those are the blackout days for the company. For the position I held, I was visuals in this role. And so for that particular role, I had my own blackout dates in addition to the blackout dates that the company had. So February was first quarter floor set. So floor sets can't take off at all. Windows, we had to redo like the windows the week before. So most of February was out because I had floor set and I had windows. And then that brings us to March. And you might think, oh, well, March, you could totally take March. Incorrect, because we had spring break in March and you cannot take off for the week of spring break. But at the same time, we had floor set refresh. So we had another refresh we had to do. So by the time it was all said and done, pretty much March was out as well. This also continued for April and May. And remember, I said the summer is out, so June and July were also out. Back to school is out, so August and September are out. Thankfully, October, there was nothing going on in October. No floor sets, no windows, no refresh, no nothing. So we had October. And then November and December, of course, was holiday, so you're out. So the burnout that you see in retail is real life. When you're talking to a team of people who are constantly interacting with customers, they're constantly talking to people, they have to have all of that energy all the time, while simultaneously doing the job of 20 people, which we will totally get into that on another episode on what it looks like to do the job of 20 people and not get paid for it. Don't worry, that's coming at a later date. But you have these people who are working these jobs, and I'm not saying they're working minimum wage. You know, each company is a little bit different. Some of them are paying a little bit more than the minimum wage. Some of them are paying a little bit less. It just depends. Whatever the job is, whatever the company is, I'm not saying that everyone is not making a decent amount, but I'm just saying that for the work that they're doing and the amount they're getting paid, it doesn't often match. And so you have these people who have basically sold their souls to this company, dealing with customers who don't get it, dealing with management who are setting these unrealistic expectations, and they don't have time off. Now, let's say October rolls around and you're like, okay, this is the 1 month that nothing is going on and I can absolutely take the time off. You will be guilted, not gaslit, guilted into not taking that time off. Words like, oh, we're abandoning the business, or you really have to think about the business and you have to think about how we can prepare the business for this upcoming season, and all of these different things to make you feel guilty for taking the time off that not only you have earned, but you desperately need in order to get through the holidays. Now, mind you, this isn't talking upper management. Upper management will take the time off that they want. There is no problem on their end. Once you exceed the store level, once you move into that like district, regional, corporate position, oh my gosh, taking the time off is not a problem at all. Their goldfish could have died and they will take the time off to mourn the loss of a goldfish. Like, I'm not saying that we shouldn't mourn our pets, but come on, it's a goldfish. Like, relax. So I'm saying all this to say, at the store level, you can kiss your time off goodbye. That's not real life. Burnout in employees is such the reality of retail, and it's not something that's often talked about, I've noticed. Like, a lot of people are like, well, if you don't like it, just leave. Okay, that's fair. I agree, you should totally leave. But what if retail is something that you actually enjoy doing, right? Like, what if you enjoy interacting with people? You enjoy selling clothes. You enjoy interacting with customers and helping them find what they need. Maybe that's who you are, and that's what you love to do. In that case, I would say there are some retail companies out there. There aren't that many, but there are some that exist that will help you do that. And you will feel valued and you will feel like you belong and that you're contributing to the team, that managers will set realistic expectations. But what I'm talking about right now is something that's more of a broad spectrum when it comes to the retail space. So burnt out in employees, or should I say the employee burnout, is definitely what is killing the retail industry, especially in 2024, because let me tell you, man, those of us who were in it, we're done. We've either left, switched careers, or something, but this is not it. So the next time you're wondering to yourself, like, okay, well, what's going on here? I guarantee you 90% of the problem is definitely coming from the fact that the poor employees that work there are completely burnt out. So, aside from the employees being burnt out because they can't take any time off, because there are blackout days and days that are just like a big no no unless somebody dies, and even then, debatable. Unrealistic expectations from management. Okay, listen, when people talk about unrealistic expectations, let me be the first to tell you that I have experiences hands on. Like, firsthand, I have experienced managers who are expecting this thing or that thing or whatever without a clue on how to actually execute this or the rational timeline. So let's talk about this one place I used to work, right? So was working at this one clothing store, and it was fun. Like, the team I had were great. They were so nice. Like, we all got along so great. Everything was awesome. And one of the things that they wanted us to do was to do like these floor sets, right? Now, I've worked in different places where they have their own ways of doing floor sets, and each place is a little bit different. But one thing is very consistent in all of the places I've worked, except for this place, is that there was always a plan of attack. Now, granted, sometimes it was the people at the very top who made the plan. Sometimes it was myself who made the plan, but there was always a plan. And sticking to the plan was fairly easy at every place I worked except for this one. Now, I had one store that I worked at where it was the corporate people that made the plan. They were like, this is what we want. This is how we want it to look. Just do it. All right, cool. I was able to take that plan and I was able to give it to the team that I worked with. And I was able to assign tasks to those teams. I'm like, all right, guys, this is our timeline. This is what we got to get done, blah, 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 blah. And they were like, all right, cool, we can do that. And so we worked together. We got it done. It was beautiful. It was pristine. It was crisp. It was awesome. I had another place I worked at. I was more so on my own with this one, but there was a little bit of help I had. It was more of a communication thing of like, if you could do this part, I'll do this part, all these different things. And it came out beautifully. They kept it clean. It was gorgeous. Now, this last place, the one with the unrealistic expectations. In a perfect world, now I'm sure you guys have noticed this and people have always said this. Oh, we're short staffed. Okay, this was the case where I was at as well. We were short staffed. And so, in a perfect world, if we were fully staffed and we had the manpower to execute what was expected, would have been so easy. The plan was done. I knew exactly how everything was going to lay. It was so perfect. But the problem was that we didn't have the manpower to make it happen. You see, I would have been able to do this set by myself if the store was clean. Now, the problem was because we were short staffed, we didn't have enough staff to maintain the cleanliness and the organization of the store, which means when it came time for me to do this floor set, not only was the store dirty, but nothing made sense. So I had to go through, clean the store, reorganize all of the clothes, and then do the set. And cleaning and reorganizing in and of itself was going to take a week, all by itself. So unrealistic expectation in this. They expected this high quality, high value, beautiful floor set in a week, which absolutely is possible if the store was already clean and all of the clothes was organized, which it wasn't because we were short staffed. Now, the reasons we were short staffed is a whole other discussion that we will have. Not today, though, because that is a big monster all by itself. So make sure you subscribe so you can tune back into that story time. But the point is, having these unrealistic expectations from management is another reason why employees are so burnt out. They're constantly berated by customers all day and night. And then they have managers expecting these unrealistic things that is just simply impossible. Whether it's because they don't have the manpower, they're not paying for it, or some other third thing that's contributing to it. One thing that I would say when it comes to figuring out like how to handle the unrealistic expectations from management, the truth is, it sounds really bad, but the truth is the people at the very top have no idea. They do not know what's going on in the stores. They do not go in the stores. They are so comfortable in their home offices, sitting in their chairs, living their best life, creating these rules and expectations for people without a single idea of what is actually going in the store. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in a store and you've seen ladders, these racks, hardware, if you will, all over the place and thought to yourself, what kind of bomb just went off in this place? I guarantee you it is most likely the merchandising team or the logistics team or somebody like that trying to execute something during store hours. Something that probably should be executed when the store is closed. And the reason they have to do it while the store is open is because they simply do not have the time to do it while the store is closed because they're not given hours or the resources to do so. Most of the time, they can try to keep it pretty clean, but man, is it hard when you just don't have the ability to do it. And then imagine trying to do the work of 20 people as one person because management is not giving you the resources you need. It's a slippery slope. It is. It really, truly is. And so, yeah, these are just some of the reasons, that I believe is leading to the downfall of the retail industry. But who knows? There's a lot of like cute little stores popping up every other place. Like I have a friend that's working for the super adorable boutique. Absolutely cute. It's just one little mom and pop boutique, but they're doing great. And so maybe that's it. Maybe we're just shifting away from these gigantic stores who have a team that is completely burnt out, managers that are, setting crazy expectations, who's depending way too much on their online sales. Maybe we're shifting away from that. Like I know for myself personally, like I love to shop in places that are smaller, right? Like where the team seems like they're happy. Everyone seems like relaxed and that they are able to get everything done in the day that they need to get done. There's not this like pressure on them. Who knows? Maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe we just need to say to these big stores like, hey, enough is enough. Stop treating your employees like garbage, set some realistic expectations, and maybe stop trying to sell everything online. Put some stuff in the stores. And maybe that just means we have to start shopping smaller. But, that's just my own personal opinion. So leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Like, what do you think is the reason that the retail industry is in a downward spiral? I mean, I don't know. These are my own personal opinions, but I'd love to see what you guys think. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and introduce yourself as well. I would love to give you a personal hello to all of my new friends. Anyways, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I will see you guys on the next episode of Coffee with Tori. Have a good one.